Hello everybody, Robin here at Toadstool Tarot. Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Please consider subscribing, hit the like button if you like, and make sure to hit that bell so you get notifications. I'm today doing a video response to the Hermit's Cave for the hashtag Elder decks. And these are decks in my collection that I've either had for a very, very long time or are older decks that are long out of print. I'm going to start actually with two decks that aren't, strictly speaking, tarot decks, but I have come to be able to use them as majors only decks. One is from the Whitman Publishing Company. I'm not sure when the date of this is. It may be back as far as the 1940s. It comes in a little book-like matchbox. It's an old Maid deck. And they're mini-sized cards. And they have that kind of a back on them. And fun little illustrations. I have videos of all these decks on my channel. If you scroll back far enough, you should find walkthroughs and how I use them. I had a fun time designating which of these cards corresponded to a particular card in the major arcana. Now, the next deck is a similar sort of thing from more or less the same era. It's a European deck, I think. I think it's from Vienna. And this is called Black Peter, which is a little controversial, I guess. But it's basically an old Maid type deck. These are the backs, and they're humorous animal images. Sort of a precursor, in a way, to some of the current anthropomorphic tarot decks. The next one is probably the oldest deck in my collection that I bought around the time it came out. The two I just showed you I got off eBay. And actually, most of the ones here that are vintage and long out of print I got off eBay, although I don't buy a lot of decks that are used generally. But anyway, this one came out back in the 70s, I believe. It's called the Philosopher's Stone. It's an oracle deck and I bought it in an art book store down in Soho. It's a fortune-telling deck by DS. Those are the backs. They're square cards, and the images are sort of surreal images with a keyword on them and a number. Sort of arrangements of stones or creatures that look like stones. I bought it because I like the artwork more so than being able to use it as a deck. Really not a major fan of oracle decks. Again, because there's a number of decks to cover here, I'm not going to show you all the cards, but I do have walkthroughs on my channel. Just you might have to scroll back pretty far for some of them. The next one is my Blushing Fool, which a lot of people have these. They're very popular. They're also pricey and hard to come by. And you're familiar with the imagery. It's more to do with the feel of the cardstock on this deck that people like, I think, more than anything. I mean, there's good color and good clarity in the line work, but the texture of the cards is particular to this deck. And this was in the early 70s that this came out in London in a blue box. And it's just called tarot cards, but it's referred to as the Blushing Fool because there's a bit of a rosacea kind of effect on the cheek or jawline of the Fool card. The next one is the Royal Fez Moroccan. Those are the backs. These are basically black and white sort of drawings or ink drawings or engravings with spot colors in primary colors. That's the word I'm looking for. I was going to say major colors. And it follows the RWS designs, or imagery, I should say. They're quite nice. I I can't remember when this came out. I think it was in the, I don't know if it was the 50s or the 60s, but it's pretty old. Next is the Keishobou tarot from Japan in the early 70s. These are the backs, and this follows RWS, but also has a kind of a nod to Tarot de Marseille style illustration. All the minors are fully illustrated, and I love the palette, the color scheme of this deck. This has been recently revived and reissued on Make Playing Cards, but called the Old Fellow Tarot Revived, or the Vintage Old Fellow. And I have recently shown that. It's been sort of given a vintage filter and released on linen cardstock, which is the one thing I love, the bright contrast in this deck, but the three things I should say I don't like about it is there are copyrights on a lot of the images on the cards here that have been removed, and I don't like this thick cardstock, and the newer version, the vintage one, is bridge sized, so I actually prefer that version to this, although I think I would be happy to have this in this stark contrast and brighter colors than the vintage aged looking coloring. So that is the Keishobou tarot. Now those are all fairly old, back in the 70s or earlier. The rest of them, I'm not sure if these are considered elder decks or not. They are all out of print. Here is one from the mid-90s, which can't remember what the actual name is, but it's by Fronteras, and it is an alternately colored RWS, and I love the size and coloring of these cards. They're a little narrower than usual tarot cards. The images have been cropped a little bit, though, which will bother some people. But I really like the vivid and alternate coloring. So this might just be called like the Tarot or something, but it's by Fronteras. Next is the Nigel Jackson Tarot. And some of these from here on out, I believe, were released since the year 2000, but are out of print now. These cards are a little bit on the large size. And I'm not sure if this qualifies in the category of elder decks, being so recent, but they are out of print. They are harder to come by. So that's Nigel Jackson Tarot. Then we have the Decadent Dream Tarot. Beautiful card backs. Beautiful stock. It's a beautiful deck, but the images are a bit on the dark side. It uses a lot of symbolist images that are really lovely, but some of them are very hard to see. Excuse me. And let's see. The last one I have is the Tarot of Delphi. These cards also are a bit on the large side. And I think that'll do it for me today to this hashtag Elder Decks. I'm curious to see what out-of-print decks you all have and were hard to come by either through auctions or eBay or yard sales. Feel free to share them and include the Hermit's Cave tag, hashtag Elder Decks. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you all again soon.